God will restore all you have lost in your life. You have not come here by chance. There is a stirring within you, a silent voice whispering that what was once lost can be yours again. And it is right, for nothing in your life is ever truly gone. It only waits to be reclaimed by the power that shaped the stars and lives within you now. That power is your imagination, your awareness, your consciousness, God within you. You are not a victim of fate, nor a casualty of time. Everything you have mourned, everything you believe, slipped through your fingers, be it love, health, opportunity, peace, still exists in the eternal present, waiting for your recognition. The moment you assume its presence, the moment you feel it real in your inner world, you call it back into form. This is not hope, it is law. And tonight, I am here to remind you, you are not broken and your story is not over. God will restore all you have lost through you. Imagination is the gateway to divine restoration. If you truly desire restoration in your life, be it relationships, wealth, health, or purpose, you must begin not with action, but with imagination. Imagination is not idle fancy, nor is it escapism. It is the creative force of God within you. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the eternal and the temporal. All that has ever come into your life has passed first through the gate of consciousness, and what leaves your life has only disappeared from your awareness, not from existence. Your imagination is the instrument, the workshop, the womb, through which all things are born again. When you close your eyes and see not the world of facts, but the world as you desire it to be, and when you feel the reality of that inner scene, you are engaging in the divine act of resurrection. The world may call it fantasy, but Scripture calls it faith. When you imagine from the end, from the place where your restoration is already complete, you are not hoping, you are creating. You are not begging God to intervene. You are becoming the vessel through which God expresses its fullness. You do not need to know how the outer world will rearrange itself, nor must you struggle with effort or anxiety. You simply accept in imagination that the thing lost is now found, the broken now whole, the stolen now returned, and you feel it is done. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret. This is how Lazarus rises, how the prodigal returns, how the dry bones live again, not by might, not by power, but by the Spirit. And that Spirit speaks in images, in knowing, in felt conviction. Your inner world is the master, the outer merely reflects. And so, if you want to see change, you must not dwell on what was taken, or how long it has been gone. You must occupy the state of the one who has already received it back. You must become so convinced of its return that the world cannot convince you otherwise. Speak to yourself as though it is already so. You never truly lost anything, only your awareness of it. Lost is a lie told by the senses. What you call lost has not vanished. It has only receded from your conscious experience. You do not lose people, opportunities, or blessings. You lose your alignment with the state of having them. Everything you have ever loved, desired, or once held close still exists, held safely in the eternal now, the dimension beyond time. The world of experience is nothing but a shadow cast by the light of consciousness. When you move out of the state where a thing exists, it appears to be gone, but only because you are no longer tuned to its frequency. What has been taken from you in appearance still lives in essence, waiting to be re-entered through awareness. You are not meant to chase what appears lost. You are meant to return to the state in which it was found. That state exists now. It has never stopped existing. You can, by simple inner movement, reoccupy the same level of being from which all beauty flowed, and even greater things will be added unto you. Let this sink deeply. The outer world is but a mirror, and a mirror can only reflect what you behold within. Do not mourn the reflection. Adjust your gaze. If you say, I have lost, you are affirming the separation and giving life to the illusion. But if you say within yourself, it is still mine, and I feel its reality, you collapse the false distance time has created. You begin to draw back to yourself all things that were yours in truth, not in circumstance. The world calls it memory, but in spiritual terms, it is a divine recall, an awakening of the truth that nothing real can be lost. When you assumed possession in the past, you call that experience into being. If you assume it once, you can assume it again, and it will come clothed in new form, new faces, new richness. But the same essence, the same love, the same joy, the same peace, but fuller, stronger, more deeply rooted. The key is to stop reacting to what appears missing and start re-entering the awareness of what is eternally present. The mind will argue. It will say, but it's gone. Look, there's no sign of it. And that is the test. Can you believe in what you cannot see? Can you dwell in the assurance that what is yours by divine right can never be truly taken? Because once you do, once you refuse to accept the appearance of lack as final, you unlock the floodgates of restoration. You may receive the very thing you thought was lost or something greater, shaped precisely to meet your deepest need. But know this, the source never withholds. It only waits for your recognition. All things return to the one who refuses to accept loss as truth. The moment you claim, I have it still, I feel it now, you begin to rewrite your experience. That is the power you hold, not over circumstances, but over consciousness, which governs all. You never truly lost anything, only your awareness of it. Loss is a lie told by the senses. What you call loss has not vanished. It has only receded from your conscious experience. You do not lose people, opportunities, or blessings. You lose your alignment with the state of having them. Everything you have ever loved, desired, or once held close still exists, held safely in the eternal now, the dimension beyond time. The world of experience is nothing but a shadow cast by the light of consciousness. When you move out of the state where a thing exists, it appears to be gone, but only because you are no longer tuned to its frequency. What has been taken from you in appearance still lives in essence, waiting to be re-entered through awareness. You are not meant to chase what appears lost. You are meant to return to the state in which it was found. That state exists now. It has never stopped existing. You can, by simple inner movement, reoccupy the same level of being from which all beauty flowed, and even greater things will be added unto you. Let this sink deeply. The outer world is but a mirror, and a mirror can only reflect what you behold within. Do not mourn the reflection. Adjust your gaze. If you say, I have lost, you are affirming the separation and giving life to the illusion. But if you say within yourself, it is still mine and I feel its reality, you collapse the false distance time has created. You begin to draw back to yourself all things that were yours in truth, not in circumstance. The world calls it memory, but in spiritual terms, it is a divine recall, an awakening of the truth that nothing real can be lost. When you assumed possession in the past, you call that experience into being. If you assume once, you can assume it again, and it will come clothed in new form, new faces, new richness, but the same essence, the same love, the same joy, the same peace, but fuller, stronger, more deeply rooted. The key is to stop reacting to what appears missing and start re-entering the awareness of what is eternally present. The mind will argue. It will say, but it's gone. Look, there's no sign of it. And that is the test. Can you believe in what you cannot see? Can you dwell in the assurance that what is yours by divine right can never be truly taken? Because once you do, once you refuse to accept the appearance of lack as final, you unlock the floodgates of restoration. You may receive the very thing you thought was lost or something greater, shaped precisely to meet your deepest need. But know this, the source never withholds. It only waits for your recognition. All things return to the one who refuses to accept loss as truth. The moment you claim, I have it still, I feel it now, you begin to rewrite your experience. That is the power you hold, not over circumstances, but over consciousness which governs all. The law of assumption is the key to recovery. The moment you assume that what you desire is already yours, recovery begins. Not in the world, but in consciousness, where all creation takes place. The law of assumption is not wishful thinking, nor is it passive dreaming. It is the deliberate, disciplined act of accepting as true something not yet visible. This is how all things are restored. To assume is to step into a new state of being, to walk by inner conviction and not by sight. The world, with all its noise and delays, has trained you to believe that outer proof must precede inner belief. But this is a reversal of truth. It is not seeing that leads to believing, but believing that leads to seeing. When you assume a new state, when you dwell inwardly in the condition of being whole, loved, abundant, healed, your external world begins to reorganize itself to mirror that inner certainty. It's not just that. You don't need to force events or beg for change. You simply persist in your assumption. The law will handle the bridge of incidents. What many call coincidence, fate, or even divine intervention is in truth the natural unfolding of your inner convictions. Assumption does not require emotion, effort, or external approval. It requires only acceptance. Can you accept as fact something that your senses deny? Can you say within yourself, it is done, and rest in that knowing, even while the world appears unchanged? That is the measure of your power. You are not waiting for restoration. You are assuming restoration, and in that assumption, the recovery has already occurred in the only place that matters, within. The outer manifestation is merely the echo, the reflection of your dominant inner state. So often we ask, how long will it take? But the real question is, how long will you persist? Because the law does not delay. Consciousness creates instantly. Time only exists to allow the manifestation to unfold in this dimension. If you will not waver, if you will hold the assumption of the fulfilled desire with inner confidence, nothing can stop its arrival. You are not creating something new. You are selecting from the infinite possibilities that already exist. Every version of your life, including the one where all you lost has returned and multiplied, is already created in the timeless realm of consciousness. When you assume that version, when you inhabit it in thought, speech, and feeling, you align with it, and it must come into view. So be careful of what you assume, for the law works impartially. If you assume lack, you prolong it. If you assume waiting, you extend it. But if you assume restoration, if you feel now as the one who has been redeemed, rebuilt, and reawakened, then nothing can keep that version of your life from you. Let the old stories fall away. Let the former reports lose their voice. Begin again now. Not by doing, but by assuming. It is mine. It always was. And now it returns. That is the beginning of every miracle. The past does not dictate the future unless you repeat its state. Your past holds no power over your future unless you choose to carry its state with you. The only thing that continues from yesterday into today is the consciousness you bring forward. It is not the event itself that repeats, but the state in which you experienced it. And this is where the great secret lies. States are not fixed. They are fluid. You are never locked into a former condition unless you mentally dwell there. When you speak of your past, your heartbreaks, your failures, your setbacks, you are not recalling history. You are reactivating its state. And as long as you identify with it, you unconsciously invite its continuation. But you are not your past. You are not your trauma. You are not the one who lost everything. You are the one who can now rise. For within you is the power to assume a new state, and with it, an entirely new future. The law of consciousness does not care what has been. It only responds to what you are now accepting as true. What you feel real now will shape what comes next. You may believe you are bound by patterns, but patterns are merely repeated assumptions. Change your assumption, and the pattern breaks instantly. I understand this. The past is not holding you back. You are holding on to it. You have been given the divine gift of imagination not to replay old scenes, but to write new ones. And when you imagine a new version of yourself, healed, restored, victorious, you are not lying to yourself. You are returning to truth. The truth is not the pain you endured or the years you lost. The truth is that you are one with the creative power of the universe, and through that union, all things can be made new. You must stop consulting your memory to determine what is possible and start consulting your vision. Memory is limited. Vision is infinite. If you want to know what your future holds, ask not what happened, but what state you are willing to occupy now. You can be reborn in this moment. You can step out of the identity shaped by wounds and regrets and step into the identity shaped by possibility. You do this not by force, but by feeling. You must feel yourself into the new state, as if the past has no voice in your now. When you persist in this state, you do not erase the past, you transcend it. And once you rise above it in consciousness, it can no longer follow you. What used to be cycles of pain become testimonies of triumph. What used to be limitations become ladders into greater awareness. So many believe that time is what heals, but time heals nothing. Only a change in state does. You could wait 10 years and still feel the same if you never shift your identity, but you could change your inner state today, and your world will begin to reflect that change immediately. You are not sentenced to repeat what you suffered. You are invited to rise into what you now choose to accept as yours. Power is not in the world, but in your assumption. The world is only a mirror, and it has no choice but to reflect the state you dwell in. So, ask yourself not why did it happen, but what state was I living in then, and then choose to live in a different one now. If you want abundance, stop dwelling in the state of lack. If you want love, stop occupying the state of abandonment. If you want restoration, stop rehearsing the narrative of ruin. You do not deny the facts, you deny their permanence. There is no such thing as a final condition. Everything can be revised from within. Even your most painful moments can be redeemed, rewritten, and reshaped. Not because you changed the event, but because you refuse to let it define you. You are not the one who lost. You are the one who learned how to rise again. And as you move into this new state, not just with words, but with feeling, with conviction, the world begins to bend. People will reappear. Doors will open. Opportunities will arise. And what you thought was gone forever will show up in new form, drawn by the magnetic pull of your transformed consciousness. This is the power of grace. And it is activated by state, not time, not luck, not effort. If you will no longer accept the old state as your home, you will no longer live its story. Your future is not the product of your past, it is the fruit of your present assumption. Shift that, and the future must follow. Faith is loyalty to the unseen reality you choose to dwell in. Faith is not a feeling that visits you once and fades. It is the quiet, steady loyalty to a reality that the world cannot yet see. It is your unwavering allegiance to the unseen, the intangible, the invisible promise that lives only in your imagination. Faith is not hoping things will change. Faith is knowing they have already changed in the invisible and persisting in that knowledge until the visible catches up. And it is not an emotion, but a position, a posture of consciousness that declares it is done even when nothing around you agrees. Faith is the only substance required to call forth restoration. If you have faith, not in a doctrine, not in effort, but in the creative reality of your assumption, you have everything. The world may ask for evidence, but the one who walks by faith does not need it, for the conviction within is greater than the appearance without. Faith is not blind. It sees clearly into what has not yet appeared and calls it real. It hears the silence and names it answered. It looks upon the barren and calls it full. It stands calmly in storms because it has already assumed the sun is shining beyond the clouds. To walk in faith is to reject the tyranny of appearances. It is to look directly at what seems to be lost and declare, I still have it. Not because you are deluded, but because you are rooted in the deeper truth that all things begin in consciousness and that what is held firmly within must express without. Faith is the act of refusing to abandon your vision just because the world is slow to applaud. The world is always slow, but the Spirit is instant. Faith allows you to rest in the unseen without striving, without pleading, without fear, because you know that what you have imagined with feeling has been received in the higher realm, and what is received in that realm must appear in this one. Your assumption becomes your experience if you do not break your loyalty to it. Many begin with faith but abandon it too soon, trading their inner knowing for outer facts. But faith is not about starting. Faith is about staying. It is the discipline of not looking back. The discipline of not letting the external world become your source of truth. Faith holds steady, even when time stretches, even when doubt knocks, even when nothing seems to move. It holds not because it is stubborn, but because it knows the law. And the law is simple. That which you accept as true and persist in will harden into fact. This is why you must choose carefully the unseen reality you remain loyal to. If you stay loyal to your fear, your disappointment, your story of loss, the law will not punish you, but it will honor your choice. It will bring forth more evidence to confirm that state. But if you stay loyal to restoration, if you dwell inwardly in the state of one who has already recovered all, then even if you do not know how, the path will unfold beneath your feet. Faith is creative. It is magnetic. It draws people, places, and provision into alignment with your assumption. This is why the world cannot understand the faithful, because their confidence seems unreasonable. But it is not based on reason, it is based on vision. The faithful live from the end, not toward it. They feel the joy before it arrives. They give thanks for the harvest while the field is still bare. And because of that, the harvest must come. You do not need more time. You need deeper loyalty to the unseen. You need to refuse to compromise your assumption just because appearances threaten you. The longer you remain in the feeling of the fulfilled desire, the more natural it becomes, and soon it becomes reality. Faith does not force, it assumes. It does not push, it trusts. It does not try, it knows. And if you will simply abide in that knowing, restoration will find you not as a miracle that comes from outside, but as the inevitable unfolding of what you already claimed within. Let others doubt, let appearances shake, but let your inner world remain unmoved. You are not believing for something, you are believing from it, and from that place, all things are possible. Not because you worked for them, but because you knew them into being. This is the loyalty that moves mountains. This is the faith that restores all things.